Episode number 14.
My mother always told me that to be successful in life, all you have to do was show up and do your job.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about solutions, tips, and tricks for social marketers and businesses.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. I am fired up today to have our featured guest, Bree Kelley. Bree, are you ready to be real?
I am so ready to be real.
Yes. Bree is a sales and marketing associate at Relational Software, as well as a social ambassador for the California Born. And I want to hear a little more about that. So Bree, can you give our listeners a little more insight into how you're doing?
I can absolutely do that. So I do all kinds of things. I like to take on 110 projects at once. So my day job, I work with Relational Solutions as their sales and marketing associate. I was actually originally hired to just kind of work with sales and as a sales assistant. But within about 2 weeks, I took over all of their marketing and all of their social media. So
Nice.
that scaled incredibly quickly. And in addition to that, I do social media consulting for a number of clients, kind of work through their strategy, do community management for them. So California Born is my main client right now, but I have a whole bunch more. So the list goes on. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's great. Can you give our listeners, we're going to talk about a Be Real story. So, and this is always something that's always difficult, but I look at social media, there's never a failure, but take us to a time or tell us a story about when you failed at social media.
All right. Failures are hard. No one wants to talk about them. And I think with me, it's not a specific incident that I want to lay my finger on and say, wow, that was a failure. But there was a period of time that kind of hit me hard when I realized that not everybody who says they are being real and transparent and authentic really mean it. And when I realized that, it kind of, and I should have known, we need to use our judgment in business situations or social situations, offline. We kind of gauge people's characters, but online sometimes it's a little more difficult and we want to take what people say for face value. And when I realized that not everyone was being as honest as they portrayed themselves to be, I was like, I quit. This stinks. And then I realized, just like in real life, we have to make that judgment call. And that's kind of how I was able to bounce back from that. And had I quit, I wouldn't get to do awesome things like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always mention in social, there's always going to be the outside person that's either a hater or a spammer, or you don't know exactly their purposes and intentions. And that's going to come across on any level of social networking. You can go look at Justin Bieber's page and you can see how much people love and hate Justin Bieber. And I personally love Justin Bieber. I think he has, like any young man, he's got some trials and tribulations, but I think at heart, he's got a good intentions in making music. Hopefully he'll keep making awesome music. But the point is that you can't control that. And what you can do is you can just move past it. If someone is spamming your page, you just block them. If someone is, spamming you on Facebook Messenger, which seems to happen now more and more on business pages, feel free to block those people. Feel free to spam them. Let Facebook know that these people are spamming profiles. And that's the biggest thing we can do, as well as know that at some point, everyone's strategy is a little different and how they, approach social. So now take us to a moment where you feel like social media marketing completely changed your mindset.
Completely changed my mindset. I just have little wins with social every day. And I feel like I fall more and more in love with it every day. Recently, over the last few weeks and months, I have been picked up as a contributor for Millennial CEO. So
Nice.
I've been doing...
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I've been doing some writing for them. I had an article go out on Monday that went over really, really well. And I mean, every time somebody shares that or likes it or retweets it or anything that I put out, that is such an epic win for me. And I don't think that's ever going to get old.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, there's no doubt that moment when someone's sharing your content, that's that moment where it's like, wow, this is real. This is the real deal.
Right. People care what I think. And I still can't get over that.
It's truly amazing.
It's great. And I don't think it'll ever get old. So I'm super excited about that across the board.
Especially when it just comes in randomly and you're just like, yes, it's like getting a new piece of mail when you see that your, blog has been retweeted or your piece of content has been shared and retweeted or someone has, given some feedback on it as well. And it's just always exciting to have those moments, no matter how big your following gets, or how small your following is, because I truly believe that social is person to person. Like we are talking today, person to person. It's the same thing on a tweet. It's the same thing behind a message. Now, sometimes there is some automation and things like that, like we talked about being authentic, that it's not really a real person doing it, and which I think personally there is some great tools, but there also has to be really carefully checked, because I truly believe in the organic model of a person-to-person communication there, even though it's via social. So take us to one of your most epic social moments. Did you have a moment in social where it was just like, wow, this person retweeted me, or just this moment where you just felt like this is really awesome, beyond just, that it changed your mindset, but this is awesome?
I mean, I guess getting brought into Millennial CEO was kind of that epic moment for me when they were like, I had one article kind of go through them that was, filtered in that I actually had originally wrote for someone else, and they saw it and they were like, hey, we kind of liked your style here. We feel like it's in a line with what we're doing. We'd love to talk to you and hear more. And that kind of spiraled. And now I'm all wrapped in and on a schedule. And it's exciting. And it's kind of just grown and scaled what I'm doing so quickly and so great. And I have people calling me and podcasts lined up. It's just so exciting. I can't believe it.
Absolutely. And it's your content. Bottom line, at the end of the day, I was talking to a lady this morning, and we were just talking about her strategy to get her message out there. And she's a great writer, but she hasn't realized that what you're doing with Millennial CEO is you partner up with a bigger influencer that you can then hop on and contribute with. And they'll do a lot of the hard work, because one of the biggest things that all content creators struggle with is the distribution. Absolutely. Just like artists, just like music. Why music business is different now is because the distribution has changed. When I was a kid, you used to go to Target or Best Buy on Tuesdays to pick up your favorite CD, and that was the only way you can get their music, bottom line.
Right.
And it's just completely changed as far as the distribution of how you can get music today. And so it's the same with content. You can't only think that content on my website is going to go viral. You have to think, how can I partner with, like you did, Millennial CEO a year ago? I took the challenge to do the same thing and partner with social media today. Mm-hmm. And, the majority of the content that goes out, I mean, it goes a lot further than I could ever imagined. And it's just because you're writing good stuff.
Right. And you're aligned with the right people who are smart and can kind of leverage your talents that to the best of your ability that you didn't even really realize you had. And when you have a network of people behind you and supporting you and just saying, hey, wow, you have a skill here and you can do this, it just pushes you to an entire new level.
Oh, yeah. And we're just in the beginning. I mean, although social networking and social business and digital in general is a hot topic, obviously, for all marketers at any level now. In the last 6 years since we've been in business, we've seen a huge increase, but I still think we're in the beginning. I still think that there's so much more, and it gets a lot deeper than just, hey, I'm going to run some posts, on Facebook. It's just, there's so much more to what social business really is, that I think that there's just going to be more and more need for awesome consultants like yourself to help really set that strategy. So now take us into your mindset with some B-realisms.
Okay.
In the perfect world, what's your dream job?
My dream job.
Yeah.
The thing, I don't say or do or write anything without purpose behind it. So in my dream job, I would have to be doing something where I'm adding significant value, and then there's a true purpose behind it. And I have such a passion for people and helping people that, I get to do that with consulting, but I'd kind of like it to be beyond that, with kind of bringing out what that organization or that person was really intended to be. Does that make sense? Kind of like fostering.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of fostering attitudes. The world likes to kind of put us in a box, and to kind of be able to pull that out and kind of help nurture that. If I could find a job where I could do that, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. Now, also give us a shout out. Where are you at right now?
For work?
Yeah, no,
I work
where
in
are
a
you
bunch
at
of
right now?
different places.
No, where are you at in the world?
In the world. Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes. Yes, Cleveland. The basketball team. LeBron is looking good. Things are looking all right over there for the playoffs too.
It
As
is,
a city electric.
It's cold.
It is cold. Oh, okay. Well, we're having a drought over here in California, so we could take some of the weather situations and push them our way.
You can have them. It's been raining for a week straight. You can take it.
We would love to create a pipeline over here. I think I'd be a rich person if we had that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So can you take us to how you typically like to start your day?
How I start my day is far less philosophical. I drink a ton of coffee and I sing really loud in the car.
Nice. What's your favorite tunes? Do you have a favorite genre of music?
I really like everything. In the morning, I like to listen to Jimmy Needham. It's super inspirational and happy. It's kind of like he's from Texas, but it's more like a Jason Mraz style. Just really like happy and jumpy. And I roll my windows down and I sing and jam, and people drive by and stare and I wave at them.
Cool. That's awesome. I've always actually had that inspiration. That's what got me into making music. That's why the Travis Youtility is my, if you want to call it, music name. But I use it also in business because people always recognize me. I'm 6'8". So Youtility, what our goal was is always to make fun, clean party music. I felt that the world had a lot of music, but a lot of people are, using language where you wouldn't want to have your child or your grandma to listen to. But there's that whole fun inspiration of just driving and cranking up the music and losing yourself in it and not caring what people think and having fun. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm totally in line with everything you just said. That's kind of what Jimmy Needham does. It's all just like happy, clean, fun. And there's so much, I don't want to say trash and just like negativity out there that anytime I can funnel in positive, I'm in it. I'm there. Yes,
you're in it. I love it. So now tell us, do you have a weakness that you think is holding you back in social?
A weakness, I try and do and be involved in everything. Maybe I have a really hard time saying no. So I guess that's kind of a blessing and a curse. It's a catch-22. I say yes and be involved in everything. Sometimes it burns me out a little bit. I get a little tired and crabby, but it's also opened a lot of doors that I wouldn't have it any other way.
I completely agree. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses as well. Knowing when to say yes and no. And then I think it's a huge blessing just to seriously take the time. And if you can handle it real quick. And like you mentioned, the doors are open when you actually act quickly. I always like to say, and don't hold back. Sometimes people are like, let me get my schedule instead of just like quickly handling what you need to handle. And then a whole new door open really quick.
Absolutely. Something that I was told once is that if it takes less than 5 minutes to do it right now. Yep. So after I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. But then I realized that I like to think everything takes 5 minutes and then I get pulled in 10 different directions.
Yep. I'm right there with you. I feel that most entrepreneurs are probably feeling the same way you do right now. At the end of the day, it's hard to say no, and it's hard to really take that time sometimes when you feel like you're overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff, but it does open doors. And I'm proving to myself more and more after listening to one of our first podcasters, Jack Kawakowski, about just talking about the fact of taking a little bit of time for everybody, and it's really just interesting to take that model. But now tell us, what do you feel like is a personal habit that you believe is leading to your success?
Well, my mother always told me that to be successful in life, all you have to do was show up and do your job. She said it was really that simple. So what I do is I wake up every day and I just get my job done. I don't think enough people just commit to the task at hand and commit to what they're doing. You know, maybe your job isn't your favorite place to be, or it's not your ideal dream job, but you have an obligation to that employer, and to be successful and to be ahead, you know, be present in that situation, just get it done and then move on and be able to use that to push yourself into the next level.
100%. 100% agreed. Too often we think about all the things we got to do for the next 3 months, 6 months, the next year's projections, or, you know, as an entrepreneur, you have all these different ideas. And as actually a marketer in social too, you have all these ideas of content for the future, and this is going to happen on this day. But too often we get caught up in that. We don't just get things done, you know. Absolutely. And I think that's a really good point, in that the biggest part of any success in life is just showing up and giving it your best. You know, we all have different energy levels on different days, and but it seems like if you get that done, it's leads to tons of productivity.
Absolutely, it's all about the execution.
Absolutely. I always like to say I will happily be a C student as long as I get every single piece of work done.
Right. Absolutely.
So, because I'm always completing the job. It's the problem is when you say too many, like you said, 5-minute calls, and then all of a sudden you have no other time to do your actual work. Then that's when you have to realize, hey, I got to cut something back here a little bit to get this work done. Bottom line. So take us to, we're going to take you to the hot seat now, where you can share some phenomenal resources and some just real talk answers.
Okay.
Bree, tell me, if you could sit down today for dinner with anyone in the world, living or dead, tell us, who would it be?
Can I have a banquet table instead?
Nice. Tell us a few. No problem.
I'm totally kidding. Honestly, and now I'm going to just make waves in the hot seat, just going to stir some things up. I'm going to have to say Jesus Christ. And nice. Wherever, you know, your beliefs are on whatever scale, that doesn't matter to me. What I'm going to say is he's a figure of books and art and music, and like the number one influencer of all time.
Yes.
So, I mean, to be talked about years and years and years later, and to still be such an object of people's, you know, idolatry and affection. Are you kidding? I mean, that conversation would be unmatched anywhere else.
I completely agree. And we had a not too long ago recent conversation with my man Matt Hines from Hines Marketing up in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And he had the same response. And I was happy. It was my first response for Jesus Christ. To be honest with you, we've had a number of other wonderful responses. And I love just hearing people's viewpoints and who they love to meet. But I'd have to say Jesus would be a wonderful man to meet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I could come up with actresses and authors, and I mean, I could give you a list of people, but their influence has not compared to his. So if you want to talk about, you know, real influence, real impact, and real purpose, you know, regardless of what you believe, to me, that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we'll take us to, do you have a favorite internet tool or resource or app that you like using on a daily basis?
Okay, this time, can I say a couple?
For sure. Yeah, tell us. Give them a shout out. Give them a shout out. Absolutely.
I have so many. I'm such a tool junkie, and I have tons downloaded that I've never used. I have them bookmarked. I'm obsessed with tools. You know, just because sometimes you're more comfortable in some than others. Buffer is my favorite scheduling tool. I've tried a bunch. I like that one. I'm just comfortable in it. It works for me. I love Canva for design. I use that with some of my community management, some of my creation for things on my blog. It's just so clean, so easy to use. I love the way things come out. And I love Topsy for listening.
Yep.
And kind of, I mean, I guess the analytics that go with that, and being able to engage, you know, almost instantaneously right there on topics that are important and relevant to your business. So I guess if I had to pick 3, those would be my favorites.
The trifecta. I like it. That's a really good trifecta there.
Thank you.
So do you have a favorite book that you like to listen to or read right now that you could share with our listeners?
It's so difficult because I love to read, but like we were talking about earlier, time is so difficult.
Yes.
I follow a ton of blogs, anything that comes out of Millennial CEO, not just because I write with them, is fabulous. It's amazing. I would share it, read it 10 times over. I actually am in the middle of reading Youtility by Jay Baer. Yeah.
Yeah. Jay's the man.
Yeah, I'm not done with it, so I can't, tell you all about it. But
Sure. No. Yeah. Just that's it. We love to just hear your feedback.
yeah, I'm halfway through, and in my opinion, I would say if you are in marketing, if you are in any kind of executive management, you need to read this book. And I was talking to my mother again. Apparently, we chat a lot.
Nice.
She has a marketing degree, and she was saying to me today, Bree, I couldn't do the things you do because the game has just changed so much. Traditional marketing is so different from the digital marketing and the social marketing that there is now. And I feel like Youtility, thus far has really kind of walked people to bridge that gap and kind of to understand that you can't do things the way they've always been done. So that's
so true. Yeah, things are changing from 6 years ago when we really got into this business. I was a social networker before personally, but when I actually started my business, Real Time Outsource, we literally, things have changed 10 times in the last year, to be honest with you, in some platforms, as far as advancement, things you can do, negatives, positives with, obviously the Facebook organic reach going down, a lot of brands having frustrations there, but we're seeing that there's a lot of brands actually having some huge success actually without even paying for a boosted post whatsoever. It's just about the strategy and building a community that's not just sending people to links to your website to get them to buy things. And it's Facebook has now become more of a community place where if you share good content and you have good stuff, it's going to get shared, and then there you're going to go. You're going to get viral. You're going to get a little bit more love in the organic reach, and Facebook is looking upon that more and more nowadays, from what I've heard. Although obviously there's a lot of things that we don't know as marketers, but that's one that I've seen, and we've tested actually one day a week, and we challenge everybody listening to the show actually to one day a week have fun with your social. Have fun. Post some funny cat pictures, post stuff that you would want to share, that stuff that's going to go viral. Don't think about your business for one day a week, and you will see that will be your most viral content for the week, especially on Facebook and also on Twitter, because people can retweet, and it's huge. So think about that one day a week, and I challenge anyone in social marketing to not be afraid to take one day a week to have fun.
I love that. I feel like you gotta post like a funny selfie now. I challenge you, Travis. When we get off this, you better post a funny selfie and tag me in it and say, "Look, Bree, I'm fun."
All right. Watch out. Here you go. It's gonna be happening.
I'm so ready.
I like that. That's cool. That's awesome.
Hey, so don't say it. Don't spill it if you can't. If you can't
don't
take
say
it.
If you can't spray it. We're going to do it. That's awesome. So tell me, do you have a favorite skill that you want to master?
Oh, a favorite skill I want to master. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Maybe, time management, get a little bit better with that.
Sure.
There's all kinds of things that I want to do. Learn new languages. I could come up with 1,000 things that I'd like to do. It's just, having the time back to my time management makes it so difficult.
I think that's a number one, especially as you're growing your social media consulting, and from seeing what I've seen from the 6 years here of doing it and scaling it, is time management's everything. And I'm not the greatest. I try my best, and I tend, like you, to get myself into new ideas. The one thing is I try to keep it all underneath the real-time outsource kind of endeavor. I don't try to start a bunch of other new businesses. Like some entrepreneurs have 15 different businesses going, and I try to do, like, the podcast is a new endeavor for me. It takes up my time, but I get out of these awesome conversations where I'm learning so much from each person that I'm interviewing that's actually the main reason why I'm doing it. I'm not even thinking about it as, I'm going to be, rich podcaster guy and making a bunch of ads and all this stuff that a lot of people think, I'm going to get into podcasting and just be a millionaire. Like a lot of the ones that have been successful and have put in a lot of hard work have. But at the end of the day, it's more about just having these wonderful wonderful conversations that you can have, and ultimately in a digital world where you can learn.
It's a two-way value street.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
absolutely.
learning from me. I'm learning for you. We're having fun. You can't lose there.
Yeah. Yeah. And every single person I've connected with in my social networking via the podcast, especially in interviews and stuff like that, we're here for each other. We're building kind of a community together, and you need help with stuff in the future. You need a push on one of your new blogs or something like that, send it my way. And that's what we're here for. So it's really cool. It's really exciting. If you could develop any new business in the world, what would it be?
I would say, I feel like I mentioned something similar earlier, but I would like to be able to kind of get a community together or find a way to really help people be themselves. And I don't mean just like life coaching or, branding or marketing, not really like that. The world puts us in a box and they want us to be the way they want us to be, when in reality we are all so unique and we are so special and different as individuals, that I feel like if I could come up with a business in a way to kind of mentor and nurture that and bring that out in people, I think it'd be fabulous.
Absolutely. I love that, Destiny. I love that, Destiny. And then can you give us one last real talk thought? And then also, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Yes, absolutely. One last, just be. You already are. You already are enough. Stop spending time trying to be what other people want you to be, or living up to a persona that you think is going to get you more followers or people to like you or to be on podcasts. Be yourself. Love your life. And if you want to talk to me more about that, you can go to breekelley.com. That is BreeKelley.com. All of my social profiles are there. My Twitter handle is @SmartSweetBree, SmartSuite, Bree with 2 E's.
Well, you've been hanging out with Bree Kelley and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you for your time and keep being real. This podcast is proudly sponsored by realtimeoutsource.com, your social media management service for success.